Hi.
Hi, we're back.
We're here again.
Cheers.
I'll start with my drink. You can
Okay.
explain your drink.
I'm going to open mine here. I'm having another one of these
Oh, those Exile ones?
Exile, yeah.
Those are so
Vodka
good.
and soda. This one happens to be, it looks like there's pineapple and lime or kiwi or something.
Doesn't it say the flavor on it?
Yummy. I don't know, does it? Does it say right
Oh,
there?
pineapple. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There you go.
Pineapple.
And I am going to use my little cutesy wine glass because it's Halloween time and 19 Crimes came out with their Halloween labels. So this is a cab with Frankenstein on it. I'm just super excited. There's like, I almost got two bottles because there's a red one with, what's the female Frankenstein? What's her name? Does she have a name or do you just call her Mrs.
Mrs.
Frankenstein?
Frankenstein.
Okay. So anyways, that's what I'm going to have. I'm going to
Lily
have my
and
wine.
Munster.
Lily and Munster? No, I don't think that's who it is because it's not the Munsters, right?
No,
It's just...
that's just the female.
Anyways, but this says it's Universal Monsters times 19 Crimes, so they mix and match. But anyways, I just thought it was really cool. And I love wine, and I love cab, specifically in red wine. So let's talk books.
Red wine because it's like blood, huh?
I didn't say it. Drinking the blood.
Well, this is almost tasteless. It's like,
Airy.
yes.
Refreshing.
Yes, and you could drink way too many of them way too quickly.
Well, I drink way too much wine, way too quickly. And I love it. Do you want to try this?
I do, but
You're not having it with that?
not yet.
Okay.
You talk books first.
Okay. Actually, I brought this because I was going to tell you a funny story. Not very funny, huh? Check out what I did. Oh, did you
it's
see
still
the
falling
dust
out.
powdering?
Wow.
So the back,
Oh.
it shattered both of my cameras. I
What
have an
did
iPhone.
you do? Drive over it?
I didn't drive over it. I will not say what I do for work, but I was working, and as I got out of my vehicle for work, this dropped in the middle of the highway. And I got run over multiple times by multiple cars.
Fun times.
I know, I took the back off, and the entire back is just like shattered. I have this is like keeping the back together. So I had to go get a new phone, and I was super sad because I really like my little phone. And my little
wow,
back.
that's huge.
I know, and this is the smallest phone they have now. It's the 15. This was the 13 mini, and that's the last time they made it mini. So I'm sad. But I just had to...
Could have got that like $800 flip phone.
No, actually, my plan had it to where I have 3 lines on my plan, but if I added an extra line, it would be free. So you can have an extra line, and then with an extra line, you get a free phone. So I got a free phone, and I still have this one. It's just hooked to a different number now that I don't even need to use, but it's going to be the same cost. And now I have glass confetti all over our table.
Fun.
Yay. Okay, now really,
That's a
let's
fun
talk
story.
books. So I'll talk this one because this one's really popular right now. Legends and Lattes. I thought this was really good. This was not anything I really would have picked, but so many people recommended it that I had to. Have you heard of this one?
No.
So, okay, it's all the fantasy stuff that I like and you like, and it's an orc that she wants to get out of her like dangerous killing spree job that she usually does, because that's what orcs do, and they go and they are just killing machines. And she decides that she wants to have her own coffee shop, and she opens a coffee shop, and then she has all these like mythical creatures coming in and trying coffee because coffee's not a thing for them. I think it's like a dwarf like invention. So she like meets dwarfs on her journey while she's doing all of her whatever mischief, and finds coffee and falls in love with coffee and then wants a coffee shop. And then
Of course.
yeah, and then this devilish looking girl here, she comes in to the coffee shop to get a job, and they end up, so I think they kind of like fall in love with each other, but it's not like kissy touchy love. It's like respectful, wow, I didn't know that you're so awesome kind of love. So they're like best friend kind of love, and they make this awesome coffee shop together. So this is a must read for every D&D player who has ever wondered what happens to happily ever after. So it is kind of like that fantasy-ish, but I really liked it a lot. It was very fun, and it still had the little bit of like backstabbery, and there's still a little bit of, you get the little grit and grind to it too, but it's a fun little fantasy. I liked it. It was a fun story, and I'm all for anything with coffee shops. So coffee shops. And,
yeah, I love that idea. I'm not sure that I'll read that one.
yeah, it's not a romance, but it was very hearty. I liked it. There's a second one. I don't know if I think there's only a second one, and I did buy it, but I haven't read it, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Tell me about your book.
You mean hearty, like hearty.
Heart.
Okay.
Not like hearty sandwich.
Well, I am reading only one book at this time, and it's not difficult to get through it. I'm not sure why I'm not done with it yet, except that I don't get a lot of time to read lately. I think that's what it is, and I'm almost finished with it. See, can you see my bookmark? It's
right
pink. It's
end.
right there at the end. This book is called Cadaverous. So this book is about, teenagers that start a band. And the lead singer really, really wants to be famous, and he does favors for a demon, basically, to become famous. And, well, the favors are, he has to kill people in order to get favor from his patron, who is Paimon? Demon? I think that's his name.
Yeah, demon.
Anyway, so this is a difficult book to explain because, like you said, I'm not sure if I like it, but I can't stop reading it. I need to know what's happening. And it's very interesting in that it is written like it's a journal, like a blog post. So there's an entry in each one is an entry. Each chapter is an entry in a blog post.
And is it from different people's point of view?
No, it's the singer's point of view, and different things have happened, and it's been building up, and it's getting. And I'm just about done. I'll be done with it by next week, but I still don't know exactly what to say about it. I like it and I don't like it.
Check out this graphic. Hold that up.
Can you
It's
see
so
it?
weird. It's like a cat paw or something holding a heart. That was a good one.
It's a fist. It's the demon's
yeah,
fist.
like coming out of the mouth of this human. It's really cool looking.
But the thing is, the weirdest thing is that, it explains what happens with a sacrifice and the demon comes. It is about a teenage metal band who worships the devil to become famous. Let's put it that way. But what happens is not exactly what this picture shows. It's similar.
Just a cool picture, though.
But yeah, it's kind of weird that they used that. However, I'm not all the way to the end of it, so maybe there is some significance.
Do you know the coolest thing about this book? I don't know if you read like the beginning, if it says in the beginning or if it's at the very end, but there is a playlist to go along with this.
Oh,
like a
I
heavy
did
metal
not
playlist.
know that. That's cool. But one of the coolest things I think about this book is that the bands are real. They're relevant. They're bands I listen to. I'm like, wow, they're playing music I like.
I know.
And they're getting ready to open up for Guar right now, where I'm at.
How
so,
fucking fun would that be?
it is kind of cool in that they use places and physical, like towns and that are real. So you can kind of put them there in your mind while you're reading it. So I'd say, like I said, yes or no, I would read it. It's an easy, quick read, and it's interesting, and it keeps you wanting to read it. So
that one is part of the Books of Horror this year's. It says right here.
Books of Horror.
The Indie Brawl. So I think I talked about that last time, but he's got his little sticker on there that says the Indie Brawl, which I hope, and I'm just saying this because I don't know how the brawl is going to end up, and we're still voting, but I hope that it's this one and Beta that make it to the end too. By the way, shout out to this author, Jay Bauer. He sent me this book because there was a little kind of incident that I was involved in online, and it was just kind of crappy the way that it turned out. And so some of the authors reached out to me, and he sent me this book and put a little, I don't even know exactly what it says, but he signed it because he's awesome. But I just thought that was really cool. And I had read this book or wasn't completely finished when he sent it to me. I don't even remember. But I remember being like, I'm not sure if I like that book or not. And then I got through the book, and it's one of those that you kind of have to sit with. And I'm like, wow, there's all these cool different takes from it, plus the playlist. And like she said, those bands, so you actually incorporate the bands that you listen to if you listen to metal or anything like that. But I just thought it was cool, and I still think about that book because I'm like, how fucking crazy. And what if this was something that people actually, I mean, if people believe in devil worshiping, and,
right?
You know, I'm like, that's fucking
people
wicked.
do.
Yeah, I know,
really. And you know, another cool thing is that this book is like velvety, and I like books that have the soft velvety covers instead of the slick kind. I don't know. It feels good in your hands.
It does. I don't think any of these ones have that, but the next one that I'm talking about I recommend this book the time to everybody. So Christina Henry,
I read it because of her.
Christina Henry is one of my favorite authors. Anytime I find a book by her, I always read it. This one is a twist on Peter Pan, obviously Lost Boy, but it is so different from anything that I have ever read Peter Pan-ish. Even the Brahm story that he did a twisted take on Peter Pan, I still like this one more. It is so fucking good. I think about it all the time. I've probably reread this book 3 times. I recommend it to everybody. It's my favorite book that she's written, and she's written quite a lot of twisted fairy tales. So I have the Alice in Wonderland one. I read the Headless Horseman one. There's a bunch of them that she's done, but this one is so freaking good. It's about how Peter Pan brings his lost boys to stay with him, how he gets them, and how he's kind of tricky and manipulative. And then it also brings in the like fairies and the pirates and all that kind of stuff, and staying in Neverland, and it gets twisted and weird, and I freaking love it. Yes,
it's a good book.
So good. So Christina Henry, Lost Boy, very, very good one.
I only read that once, and now I think I want to read it again just because of
it's just one of those that you're it's one of those that you just
so I have
so many twists.
I'm only reading one book, and I have been listening to books.
Do you want to do this
Audible.
one first?
Oh gosh, nope. I want to do one more.
This one first.
That one.
Okay.
I want to do this one because I love this author. His name is Peter Clines.
Is it called 14?
This is called 14. This one, first of all, let me talk about this author. I first found this author and he's an Audible only author, Peter Clines, and he does this series that's called X Heroes.
Oh, I remember you talking about
and
this.
that it is about people that have superhero powers. It's about the end of the world and zombies, but people also have superhero powers. And X Heroes, they create this town to try to save what people are still alive from the zombies who are obviously trying to eat them at every turn. And there's other things too, but it's a series. It starts out with X Heroes.
So what book is this in the series?
This one is not part of that series, the X Hero series.
You're just talking about
I'm just saying this author is amazing. And so he had some other books that I came across as I was looking for more X Heroes books.
It looks cool because it's like a dungeon door.
Right. So 14
rusty
is
gnarly.
A story about, well, it's sci-fi and it's horror and it's this building. 14 is a room in the building, and it's a building that people live in. It's in California. It's an apartment building, but there's really weird things that are in this apartment building. And what you come to find is that this building was built when the city wasn't quite built yet, and it was built on the outskirts of the city, and it was built by Edison and Tesla.
Okay.
And people who knew secrets about the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And
brainiacs.
It was really built. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to give it away. You got to read it. It was built to keep
The secrets?
other dimensions out of our dimension.
Oh, it's kind of Stephen King-ish.
Yes, but it's further where he kind of does that, but there are things in the other dimension that want to eat you, that want to kill you and take over.
Oh.
Take over the world.
Nice.
And this building and things in this building were built to try to stop that from happening. And it escalates and escalates to the point where I got to the point where I listened to it on my way to work. I listened to it on my breaks. I listened to it on my way home from work while I was doing dishes. I always had it playing. I played it on my Bluetooth radio at home so I could listen to it through my house. It was so good and so just, when you get to a point where you're just like, oh my God, don't do that. Oh my, what's going to happen? Oh.
You have to know.
Many times.
Yeah.
Many times. I so recommend this book. It was a great listen.
Lots of does it have like a lot of those like cliffhangers at the end of the chapters where you're like, I can't stop here?
Yes, where it's like, and then they went to bed, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, they didn't even finish figuring that out yet. Yeah. Oh God, there's just so many. There's a lot of, I don't want to say main characters. There's a group of characters that make up the base of the story. And they all add to this story. They all have their own little part that adds to it.
Do they all live in this building?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and they form. Some of the people that live there are finding things in their apartments.
So I'm guessing that they're forming together to go into 14 or
to find out what is in 14 because there's padlocks on the door and nobody can go in there. Nobody lives there. People have died there and nobody lives there.
Okay, so they're trying to work together to figure it out.
But they have each found things in their apartments that are weird, odd. Why would this be in an apartment?
Huh.
And have come together and going, okay, let's all talk about what we found and let's try to figure it out. What's going on here? And
it's a puzzle. It's like a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
It is. And I just recommend it. I don't want to tell you anymore because I don't want to give it away. There's so much cool stuff in it.
It just so happens that I have two authors here that are like in my top 5. That if I see one of their books, I don't care what the hell it is, I have to read it. Is he one of those authors?
Yes.
For you?
Yeah, I'm at this point searching Audible for more of his work because he's an Audible author, and I've read everything. I've read everything he's done now. He's got more than that. He did the Quatrain Concept, which is another sci-fi dimensional.
Have you read Dark Matter? I don't have that with me, and we can talk about that another time if you haven't. But
I think I
Lake
did.
Crouch.
Did you give it to me to read? Do you have it?
I don't have it.
Okay. I don't think I have then.
We'll talk about that another time.
Another time. Next.
Okay. This is another one of my authors that if I ever see this name, Ronald Malfi, it's mine. I'm buying it. I'm keeping it. I love him.
Hey, Malfi.
He doesn't know me, but he should. I'm just kidding. No, I really love this author. And his books. Okay, so Blackmouth, this is the book that I have. The first book that I read was Come With Me, which is my favorite, and I don't know if it's my favorite just because it was the first one I read or because of the story, because this story is really good too. Like I said, I've read most of everything that he's written. There's a couple that I still have on my shelf that I haven't read yet, but his books have some girth to it. So there's some dedication time, and not that I don't want it, but I have to be.
It takes
time. I have
time.
to be there. I have to kind of palate cleanse sometimes. Horror. He writes really, really good horror, and it's always really gripping and suspenseful. And it's like that storyline that you're talking about. You're like, what the fuck is happening? But it's so good, and you don't want to put it down. And yeah, and so this one is about a guy that he's kind of running away from his past. He lived in what they call Blackmouth, which is like an area, like a wooded area. He didn't live in the woods, but the woods were like out back of his house or something like that. His mom, I think, passes away, and he goes back to the house, and his brother is autistic, so he has to kind of care for his brother since his mom is gone. And so I don't think his brother is verbal. I think he's very, he's just not able to care for himself. So that's what I picked up from this. Well, Blackmouth is kind of, if you can't imagine what that would look like, that's exactly what it is. So it's kind of like this black hole that is weird and they don't really know what comes of it, and there's all these like mysterious things that happen in these woods, and they run into this man that is like a magic man, and he tries to manipulate kids. He's kind of like, he comes around with the circus, and he goes to these different towns with the circus, but the circus comes to Blackmouth, and this magician tries to teach the kids magic, but then he tries to manipulate them in certain ways, and basically the disabled brother becomes really, really good at magic because that's like his thing that he grasps onto, and just he gets it really good. And the magician is kind of awed by him, but kind of like put off by this brother because he doesn't really know what to think of this disabled brother. And that comes back. So when they're kids, this happens. That comes back when they're adults. He's still into this magic, the brother is, and the older brother comes back to Blackmouth and then has to figure out what's happening with the kids that he grew up with, and this magician has something to do with it, and his brother has something to do with it. So it all kind of comes together. It's kind of like It. It kind of is like It. That's what it reminded me a lot of, this story, but it's its own twist. And it has a really good, it just has a really good way of explaining the backstory and how the people come together and how this magician is evil, but he's not Pennywise. He's not that. So anyways, very good book. I haven't read it because it's just, every time it's one of those books. It's just so much. It. Yeah. Stephen King's It. I can't hold it. It's too much. Everything is over explained, and I love Stephen King and I love that he does that, but it is just one of those books that forever just draining. I think I've read half of the book probably 3 times.
Right. And when you've seen the movie 2 different styles multiple times,
I get it.
Yeah, you don't need to go and read all those words.
Nah. No, this was definitely worth it though.
But
that's kind of how I took it. A little bit of twist on that. Which one do you want to talk about here?
Interesting.
This or this?
All right, so let's talk about my palate cleanser.
That?
Yeah, this is one you told me about. This is Viola Davis, the actress, Finding Me.
Yeah, if you haven't read this.
If you haven't read it, oh my God. So I listened to it, and
she reads it.
Yeah, she is the narrator of her own story, and she's amazing at it.
Passionate.
And I don't know if you know who Viola Davis is, but she got famous for How to Make a Murder? How to
Get Away with Murder.
How to Get Away with Murder. It was a series, awesome series too. But she did a lot of other stuff before that too. But her story, this is her personal story of her growing up and what happened to her, and it's amazing. You don't hear stories like this very often from people who have become famous and made it big. And I don't know if she would even consider herself big. She didn't really make it big. She's not.
She is though. I mean,
but she is because of that. Yeah,
and her heart.
Oh my gosh, I know.
This girl.
You just wouldn't believe it, the stuff that she's been through and that she talks about. But she has so much flavor, so much life in everything she says, and she's very uplifting and faithful. I mean, it was I cried because of some of the things she told us, and I laughed with her because of some of the things she told us, and I mean, I felt the emotions, that she felt when she was speaking. You could tell.
You could feel it.
Yes.
Her whole life. She says it, and
yes.
Yeah, you're like, holy cow, you made it through so much, and
look where you are now.
Yeah, not just bad thing. I mean, there's a lot of bad there, but there's an amazing amount of good, an amazing amount of good, and she's so wholeheartedly good that she just brings that back tenfold. It's so good.
And if you have watched How to Get Away with Murder, and then you see her heart, you're like, whoa, how did she do that so well? How did she play that part so well? Because she was very convincing.
Oh, yeah. And it was hard to like her.
You're like, oh my God. And then, but you're like that in this too, because she's raw. It's raw. and
She talks about
honest
family,
and
growing up,
yeah,
how to grow
it's
into yourself, and how to
great
be
way.
confident.
I thought a great way to get out of my horror. There is a little horror aspect to it, not a fictional story, which I prefer to cleanse my palate. I like nonfiction. I like especially a memoir,
Yeah, me too.
telling me about what happened in your life. There's a lot of really good ones out there, by the way. But I definitely recommend listening to this. I mean, you could read it.
You can read
I would
it.
listen to it
I would
because
listen to
hearing her changes the
whole atmosphere of the book. Like,
Yes,
you can read it
yes.
and you're like, man, wow, what a story. But you listen to her
Yes,
telling you
absolutely.
her own story, and you fucking feel it. You feel her power and emotion, and just, it's so raw.
and then you get wow, and now she's this. Because I mean, you see who she was and who she came up as and who she has become. And yeah, it was just
Man, just
heart
bravo.
lifting. And yes, it was an amazing story. I definitely recommend listening to it
Bravo.
because of her.
Absolutely. I can't say any bad thing about that at all. And I don't think I have ran into anyone that has read that, even just read it and not done the audio, that hasn't liked that story, because it's very, very good.
It's a good story. Yep.
Okay, I will end on another very popular one. John Mars, Keep It in the Family. So John Mars is super popular right now, and if you don't follow him on Facebook, you should, because he's a character. He is very fun on Facebook. This one's fucked up. It's fucked up, and I'm pretty sure that this is the story. Let me just. This is the story
38 years earlier
that everyone and their mom and dad and brothers and sisters, if you read it, this is chapter 39, and all it says is fuck. So that's your go-to. That's all you need to know about this book.
It does?
Fuck. Just kidding. But yes, it says chapter 39 is Finn saying fuck. That's it. Okay, but that's really what made this book just everybody's like, yeah, well, chapter 39 it. I see it all the time now. People have tattoos of it. It's actually pretty fantastic.
Chapter 39?
Yeah.
Or just fuck?
No, chapter 39. Somebody
Interesting.
I saw on Facebook, I think they posted it to his Facebook, but somebody's license plate said chap 39. Like, thumbs up.
That's hilarious.
Up to you. So anyways,
That's awesome.
Don't
Use it.
Don't leave suitcases laying around. They're terrifying. Don't look in them if you find them. That's serious. Don't. After you read this, you will know. Keep it in the family. You're never gonna fucking believe what happens in this book. And it's all family ties, and it's all twisted turns, and it's all gnarly, and you don't know who's who and what's what and who's going where and who to trust and who not to trust. And it is like, there's so much twisting, turning, crazy in this book. I wanted to throw it many times, and I love this book. And even if you're one of those people that says, well, I guessed the end and it just ruined it for me. I always guess endings, and I don't always get them right, but I always guess them. And then when I am right, I'm still excited. And then when I am wrong, I'm still excited. So I don't care if you can guess the ending or not. I didn't guess it, but it is worth it, because there's more than just the ending twist. There's probably like 27 twists through this book. So enjoy that.
I'm going to read this.
It's good. It's very good.
I'll come back and tell you what I think about it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get too much into it, because if you like a psychological
Thriller?
twisting, turning, thriller, murder, mystery type, family ties, and yep, go for it.
I love a
do
book that I go, no, I don't want to read that anymore. I don't want to see what happens, but I have to see what happens.
Yeah. Just don't look in the briefcase.
Verity
Don't-
was like that.
Oh, fucking Verity.
Oh, another time.
Another time.
Yeah, I want to take this home and read it. Oh my goodness. So I got one more, and I've been kind of getting into these
Let's finish this.
comic book villains. I'm more into the villains than the
Author of this.
author of this.
C.T.
Yep.
Phipps.
Yep. Rules of super villainy.
So that's Red Riding Hood, and who's the other one?
Kind of.
Well, it says Red Riding Hood and
Merciless, yes.
Super villains.
So what this is in a world where there are superheroes and supervillains.
It's weird to do the phone one. Sorry, guys.
Merciless there was a superhero that finally grew old enough and died. His
Nemesis?
super cape and costume was left on this guy's porch. You find out why later, but he found it. And he wasn't the one that was supposed to find it. But he put it on, and suddenly he was intertwined with the being that occupied this costume. And it's a lifetime intertwinement. So suddenly he is a superhero.
So he's Venom.
Only he doesn't want to be a good guy.
Oh.
He's always wanted to be a supervillain.
Good.
So he is now using the dead superhero's costume and becoming Merciless, the supervillain. But he's not very good at it.
Oh.
And he's learning. And there are other supervillains that you come to find out that supervillains don't like each other. And so they want to one-up each other. You come to find out that superheroes are like kind of like the League of Justice.
The League of Justice.
Remember cartoons, The League of Justice? The superheroes have a league, too, that is operated by the government, and they have decided that they just don't want to do that anymore, and
why? Because they're being regulated? They're being held down by the man?
Right. Big Brother's watching over us. They want to do their own thing. And
the superheroes?
Yeah, they want to just save who they want to save and not who they don't want to save. They maybe will take care of supervillains and maybe they won't. And,
right.
and if the town's not big enough, they're not even going to bother because it's just not worth their time. So there's a lot of comical aspect to this regular guy trying to be a supervillain because he's all of a sudden got these powers and he's learning to use his powers and he's learning to fight other supervillains and he has a girlfriend who doesn't want him to be a supervillain. She wants to be a superhero. So it's fun and interesting if you're into the superhero, the comic book. I collect graphic novels. And I have a lot of horror graphic novels because that's what I like. But I've come to find out that I like the comic book aspect of it a lot, which made me realize I like the superheroes. I like the zombies. I like the X-Heroes with Peter Klein.
Yep.
This book was good. So what I was doing was scrolling through, looking for more Peter Kleins, and found some superheroes and supervillains. So that's another Audible choice that I just listened to, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Kind of probably like a palate cleanser, too, because it's not what I typically read. And I have a few more that I put into my queue. But
see, that's exactly what I thought about this Legends and Lattes, and that's why I have the second book and I haven't read it yet because I'm like, well, I'm going to read it, but maybe it's like a palate cleanser. It's going to be one of those just.
Yep.
After I've read so much Death and Doom, I'm probably going to have to throw it in there for some happy ending.
Yeah, I might have to find something good to read after this, I'm thinking.
I was just thinking, last time we did this, you took a book also.
No, I didn't take it.
Oh, you didn't?
Because I wasn't done with the ones I had yet.
Okay, but you're almost done with this. So. Yeah. Any John Mars is good. People really, really, really like him. I've read a lot of his stuff. A lot of it's like that twisty turny, but some of it is more slow burn. He actually, if you follow him on Facebook, he'll share with you. He's got like a little table laid out of this. If you like this kind of book, these are my slow burns. These are my, twisted. Oh, cool. Yeah, so
that's cool. I'm gonna go find him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am an old school horror fan. Stephen King, Dean Koontz.
You like Clive Barker?
I like Clive Barker. I like a lot of the old, I don't know what they call them anymore, but the old horror. But I have been turned on to a lot of really cool books by her because she keeps track of authors and things like that online. And so I have been able to read a lot of cool books because of her too.
It's cool. And I'm really I'm so terrible. I'm going to say terrible because I will go on TikTok and I'll go on Book Talk and I will just be like, screenshot, I need this book, screenshot, I need this book, screenshot, I need this book. And then like sometimes I'll get on TikTok and I'll be like, books, oh, we should talk about books. Oh my gosh, I just could TikTok all day with Book Talk and these authors, and I am a little obsessive. But sometimes I
see her library.
Sometimes I see these people coming on to TikTok with like stacks of books, and they're talking about like, this is the best that I've read this month. They read like 30, like a book a day. I'm like, how in the world do you have time for that? I have kids, I've got work, I've got things to do.
Life.
I wish I could read like that, but
me too.
That's not gonna happen.
I read at my second job 2 hours a week.
At your second job, 2 hours a week?
Mm-hmm. I do read more than that, but this week I haven't been able to.
I have been listening to a lot of podcasts. True crime, of course.
Of course.
Of course, I can't stay away. So, anyways, that was our...
covers it for today.
That was our little book. You know what I was going to say is we were talking about that Merciless, the superhero one book.
Mm-hmm.
And so is his girlfriend Red Riding Hood?
No. This is his sidekick.
Oh, okay. So she's not good.
She's not. She's a bad girl.
Okay.
She's a bad sidekick, and she has... Well,
is she bad at doing bad business too? Are they bad together?
What I think is that she's bad at picking supervillains to be the sidekick for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. So I was gonna lead into that with, I read the Harley Quinn book.
Oh.
So they do, man, I don't remember the author. I'll have to get back to you on that. But I read a book about Harley Quinn and how she came to be her.
Ooh.
Yes. It was really good. It was like a really
bet.
good backstory. And then it talks about like her meeting the Joker,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they do a lot of those they do a lot of those backstory books on, I don't know if it's just the villains or if they do it on both the villains and the heroes, but yeah, it was a chapter book. I mean, it was good.
Cool.
It was a while ago. I think it was a couple years ago, so I'll have to get back to you on the author of that. Yeah, anyways. So
right.
books guys, always books, and then
always books.
Cheers to
books
to
and
a
beers.
drink. Yep. So have a good one. We'll talk next time.
Bye-bye.